Welcome back. Let's now go back to Sasolburg in the Free State, where our reporter on the ground, Ntakwane Ngatane, has been monitoring today's voting in the Metsimaholo by-election. Now, she'll be speaking to Jan van Niekerk, and he's a leader of the Freedom Front Plus in the Free State. Ntakwane?
Good evening again, Tabile. Yes, voting stations here have closed just at 9 o'clock, and party agents, each representing a party, have gone into the counting that started immediately after the voting stations opened. We'll get an update later on from the Independent Electoral Commission around everything, how it went, the times that they opened, and all the queries that they may have received. And some of those queries came from the Freedom Front Plus, and I'm here with the provincial leader, Jan van Niekerk. You were telling us about the challenges that you saw or that you had.
No, there were challenges, especially with people that were registered in the past in certain wards, and for 15 years and longer they've been voting in those wards, and suddenly they're not on the voters' roll. So that's suspicious, and the Freedom Front has a serious issue with that. Apart from that, I think it went well. The Freedom Front has an important role to play in coalition governments, as we see right throughout South Africa that there are numerous governing municipalities where the Freedom Front Plus is the kingmaker, and our goal is to also be the kingmaker in this municipality if it's possible, and to play a big role to be able to serve the people that voted for the Freedom Front Plus.
Perhaps we can take a step back, because this particular municipality, you were in the coalition that has just collapsed.
Yes.
Because the numbers were almost neck and neck, really. Yes. So when the mayor decided to side with the ANC, it brought the municipality to a total standstill. What do you think were the issues, really?
Well, the main issue was the budget that couldn't be approved, and I think that was the fact that the mayor was a person that wasn't linked to a bigger party. There was no discipline coming from the top to say to the person, listen, this is the decisions that was taken on national level, and this is what we're keeping you to. The Freedom Front Plus also warned against what could happen, and I think that's a mistake that was made, and we must look in the future that we don't make the same mistakes again.
But perhaps we can talk about what the Freedom Front Plus has to offer. Let's say, again, there's another coalition coming up. What would you bring to the table?
Well, it's important to bring clean government to the table, and as a coalition partner, it's important to bring good principles to the table, and also to bring principles that serves the people that vote for you to the table. It's important for the Freedom Front Plus to see that if tax is paid in certain parts of town, the tax needs also to be spent in those parts of the town, and it can't be spent only in certain parts of town where it doesn't serve our people. So that's, for instance, one good example where we can serve our own constituency.
What are the needs of your constituency?
Well, the needs of any constituency is clean government and streets without potholes, clean water, and those are the day-to-day issues that touches the lives of all the people in Metsimaholo, and especially also the people that voted for us. The people want to see that their money gets used for stuff that touches their lives, and I think in the past we didn't see that. In the past we saw that money has been wasted. The corruption is so out of control in this municipality that the money doesn't get to the ground and doesn't serve the people.
Thank you very much. That is Jan van Niekerk. He's the provincial leader of the Freedom Front Plus here in the Free State, and they are contesting this election. They are one of 15 parties contesting this election, and they were in the coalition government that collapsed in July. And he says to us, part of the reason it collapsed is because the mayor, who we now know was from the Metsimaholo Civic Association, comes from a very small grouping of people that perhaps doesn't have the discipline that would be required to lead a government of this nature. future. But of course, he says going forward, they are still available to go into another coalition government and to make Metsimaholo a success. Now, as I say, vote counting has already begun. I'm sure in all the voting stations. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll come back with the Independent Electoral Commission for them to give us a sense of how it went. And probably by then, some of the voting stations may perhaps have some result to give us an indication of where things are going by then. Tabile.
Ntakwani, we'll have to leave it there for now. We'll definitely be crossing to you for more updates. Thank you very much for that. That was our reporter Ntakwani Ngatane joining us from Sasolburg in the Free State. Now, Mosebenzi Zwane, the Mineral Resources Minister, has successfully delayed Parliament's decision on whether to appoint an ad hoc committee to investigate state capture allegations against him and his department. Zwane has failed to appear before the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources on 2 occasions this week, the latest being this morning when he called in sick.
Mosebenzi Zwane had been set to meet the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources on Tuesday to respond to state capture allegations, but failed to appear. He again did not appear on Wednesday, and the committee said they'd received a sick note informing them that the minister could not appear. A proposal to summon Zwane to meet with the committee within the next 2 weeks proved problematic, at least for the ANC.
I know this may sound very insensitive, but it's a fact. Is that I doubt we will get these members from the ANC during that period. I just want to be honest. To tell them that on the 16th they should not be in Nasrec is going to be a huge task for them.
The committee will now have to wait until next year to determine a way forward. Only then will it be able to decide whether to appoint an ad hoc committee like the Transport Committee opted for earlier this week to investigate Transnet. The committee may also decide to do the probe on its own, like the Public Enterprises Portfolio Committee is doing on Eskom. That entity's been hit by a Moody's downgrade today, with the review for further downgrading, citing poor governance record and liquidity issues. Meanwhile, the expected appointment of an Eskom board on Thursday will now, in all likelihood, only take place next week. That's because of the postponement of today's cabinet meeting. Lukhanyo Khalada, SABC News, Parliament.
Our stories.
How do I begin?
Our lives. When all seems to fail, we will raise our voices a bit louder for our justice.
Well, I went into absolute shock. My whole body was shaky. I couldn't hold a phone, but there he was. I couldn't believe the nonchalant that they were still in the area 2 weeks later.